Hi everybody, it's James from Jurassic Unicast, and today we are discussing Jurassic World Rebirth. And today I am also joined with some of the boys. Here they come. There's Kris, Mike, and Matt. There we go. There we go.
How's it going, boys?
How are we all?
Let's start with old Mr. Happy, Mr. Snickers himself. What do you love about Rebirth?
I thought the characters were brilliant. For the most part, I think the three main cast were brilliant. I think Duncan. Well, it's weird because months ago we were speaking about it that we thought Duncan Kincaid would be our favorite character in this movie, and proven he was. Zora was brilliant. I think Henry Loomis was sometimes a little bit goofy at the beginning, but I thought he was really good. Even is it Leclerc, the French fella? I thought like he didn't do much.
Tell you his name.
Yeah, but yeah, he was all right. Obviously, there's some forgettable members like the couple that got eaten, sort of thing. But the family as well. I thought the family were going to be annoying, and even the kid. I enjoyed this kid more than I probably enjoyed Maisie in a way, because she didn't talk too much. But the boyfriend was annoying. He should have got eaten at some point.
He grew on me a bit.
Did he?
A little bit.
Yeah. He grew on me a little bit, but we're talking like this.
Yeah.
Much
like at the beginning of the film, I thought this is going to be another Franklin where he's going to proper bug me halfway through the film.
That's his role, though, wasn't it? Like that comedic sort of role.
And I think that's what he was going to be like all the way through. But I think from that fire scene where he kind of thanked him for saving his daughter, from then on, I was kind of okay with him.
I suppose.
But no, I think like for me, big positives, as I said before, CGI was like impeccable. Really enjoyed the CGI. The introduction of I'm always game for when you see a Dilo in Jurassic movie. I really kind of missed it in Jurassic World. Dilo wasn't a big scene, but it was a nice scene. The Rex looked brilliant. I loved the river scene was probably the highlight of it for me. I did enjoy the river scene. And again, the characters, Big Three was good, but I actually liked what was her name, Luna, the eldest daughter.
She was really good.
I know her from Fresh Off the Boat, so I've seen her in that. But yeah, she was really, really good. I liked her in it. But say some of the scenes were just like really, really well done. Like the Titanosaur scene, I think. Obviously, we'd seen quite a bit of that in the trailer.
Sadly.
The Quet scene was actually a bigger scene than I thought it was going to be. I quite liked when he got it and it still had the rope in its beak and stuff like that. So some of the scenes like that was like really, really good. And even going into the genetics lab, like and showing you like the two-headed raptor and stuff like that, still moving and stuff, that was cool. I actually enjoyed that. I say my least favorite part with the parts with the mutodons and stuff, but other than that, I say the rest of the. I kind of agree with what you said, James, as well in your review about that first kind of 30 minutes. You could cut that out. Like, I did enjoy it, but I get what you mean about you could cut it out.
I must say, though, the second viewing, it felt a lot shorter.
Did it?
Yeah.
Right.
No, I agree with that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think what it was is now I've seen the movie, right? And obviously now Matt can vouch for this. All of my anticipation, all of my expectations are gone. Yeah. I know exactly what we're getting. I know exactly what to expect. So the whole build up to that first part where we go on the ocean and we see the family for the first time, I actually found myself being invested in the dialogue of the first part to see if I actually missed anything and to see if there's any like clues and hints that I didn't actually take in the first time, which is why I didn't overly like it that much.
Yeah.
And then what I found is I got to the Apatosaurus bit relatively quickly than I actually first remember. And I definitely like Scarlett Johansson in this. I think she is good. I mean, like, there's a lot of people that have been complaining about that these characters feel very flat, but I mean, but you could tell they were trying to sort of give you a backstory of her and Duncan's sort of history. I guess it could come across like they were talking about a lot of stuff that we couldn't care two monkeys about, which they could have. They could have given us almost like like an overlay of some footage of the past and then it cuts back, and it cuts back to her being emotional and talking about it. But have we really got time for that? Have we really, like, is what they've done actually all right for really, like, is there time in other future projects where we could go back into her history and it could start, the movie could even start out and then transition into the current day of her dealing with her PTSD. I don't know, a bit like, you know how like I know essentially you don't want to talk about camp quotations, but you know how Yasmin has that constant PTSD of when she was a kid, and it still lives with her now as an adult. That having that sort of thing to deal with is different, because it's never really happened. Out of all these movies, you think out all of these films that we've had, all of these cast members, I think the only time we ever got some PTSD was from Laura Dern in Jurassic Park 3, and that opening sort of sequence with Alan Grant when they're chatting. And I still stand that first act of Jurassic Park 3 is superb, and I love it. I still love it. When Alan Grant talks in what John Hammond did at Jurassic Park was create all that sort of, I love it because it takes you back. It makes it feels like, right, we're back here again. Like, this is it. It feels that's as much as that's why I don't understand the hate for Jurassic Park 3. I really, really don't.
I've only got one issue with Jurassic Park 3, and that's the raptor talking to him on the plane. Other than that, I have got no beef with Jurassic Park 3.
I mean, I actually I would choose it over quite a few of them, to be honest. Anyway, I'm going off a segue there. So I think what it is like, it's a tough one, really. What was the first point you brought up, which is why I started talking about, because I've lost my train of thought now. You were talking about the rafts, the characters, wasn't it?
The characters, So I did really like the dynamic between Zora and Duncan. Like, their backstory was like a really nice, and like you said, I'd like to see a little bit more of that. But again, I don't think we will, because there's nothing dinosaur based in their history. So
exactly, it's more of just them sort of
mercenary work and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they could have done with an overlay, but other than that, it is what it is.
But I loved Loomis's character. Like,
I didn't like the mint. I didn't like the mint chewing though, because
my god,
it went for laughs. It went for laughs, but I was just thinking, this guy would be walking around like a human tic tac, like like a human rattle, constantly everywhere he ran. It like.
Now, I do think one missed opportunity that they could have done. They didn't have to, and I'm fine with it that they haven't. But I think in that scene where they recruit Loomis in the museum, it would have been nice to put that as Rexa, those bones.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to have been done. It doesn't matter that it hasn't, but it would have been, I think, a nice callback to say, this was the Rex it used to be in Jurassic Park, kind of thing. It would have been nice.
You know what I would have been nice to do with that scene, and probably to give more of a staple to Henry Loomis's knowledge of paleontology and the current state with the dinosaur ecosystems and biology as well, is that you had what was the guy's name again? The philanthropist.
Well, the paleontologist.
No, not Henry Loomis. The other guy in that scene.
Martin Krebs.
Martin Krebs.
Yeah, Krebs. There we go. Krebs. Yeah. If Krebs came in and said, "Oh, you're taking it all down. Well, you've only just recently acquired this new fossil, haven't you?" And he said, "No, actually, that's the old T-Rex from the original Jurassic Park. It's not drawing the attention we would have thought it. Just a small bit of dialogue to show that he knows the difference between a fossil and a real skeleton. And then while he's actually going around saying we need to get samples from the 3 biggest dinosaurs, you could have had Krebs going, we need to get a sample from this dinosaur, and this dinosaur, and then Loomis come around and say, well, actually, I think you'll find one of those is the dinosaur. The other 2 are, in fact, just to show that he's really actually the reason that they actually know what the difference is between the dinosaur, and the idiot with the money don't know jack shit. Which again goes back to my earlier point with the opinion of the workers being in awe and the guys with the money saying, no, come on, guys, we need to get the work done.
You know what's weird and interesting about this is that, like it works. Like the DNA sample sequence thing, it worked great, and I liked it. But it's weird that they've chose 3 dinosaurs that we've never existed before, never known before. Like.
And it just happened to have all 3 fossils in the museum on display.
Oh yeah, that made me laugh.
And at the correct size as well.
Yeah.
like all three of those dinosaurs were like just happened to be there.
But I think
let's forget about the biasing Quetzal, but the
I did think Loomis's scene
like...
with the Titanosaur was a really, really nice one where he got to touch it with the leg and stuff. And that was a really nice scene as well. I did enjoy that.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's brilliant. That was.
It definitely gave me vibes of the first Jurassic Park Grant and Ellie scene, seeing the Brachiosaur for the first time. I mean, granted, they didn't go over and touch the Brachio, but it has that same perspective up there from the ground looking up at this damn thing. You just get that sense of awe. The soundtrack was just amazing going through it as well. So yeah, no, that was a really good scene. I enjoyed that.
And I say, apart from it being the D-Rex, I did enjoy the opening scene. The opening scene was a really cool scene to watch.
Yeah,
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
But the opening scene was probably arguably the. So what'd you say? I'd say Fallen Kingdom's the best. Hey, there he is. Talking to the devil. There he is.
Yay! Finally.
How we doing?
Welcome, Jay.
Right.
Welcome.
Doing all right.
We're just talking about opening scenes, and I would say I think it's up there in the top sort of 3-ish for me. Like I think, as far as opening scenes go, the shoot her one from the first is always going to be a classic one, but I also find it silly at the same time because they had all those guns, all those tasers, yet the guy still died with the arm going. And you just think surely someone would have stopped that animal. There wasn't 3, 4 animals; it was one. They definitely could have done something about it.
Yeah, they got too much money invested in that asset. They can't just shoot her.
Yeah,
that brings a question in itself, doesn't it? Because wasn't this version 26 or 27? So where's the other 26 T-Rexes?
Yeah.
If we're led to believe that they would just kill them.
Yeah.
Unless they all failed. If they all failed and they died stillborn.
They could have been an embryonic form.
This could be the only one that actually survived. But again, there's more questions with the D-Rex than there are answers. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So I'd say you got obviously then I'd say Fallen Kingdom is probably arguably the most exciting of the opening scenes, and it kind of sets the precedence of where we got with the Moser escaping, and then you're like, oh crap, this island's like going downhill now.
Yeah.
And then I'd say the Jurassic Park 1 is probably Jurassic Park 1 does the best of setting the tone of what the Velociraptors are like. And how dangerous that enclosure is.
Yeah.
But the practicality of the actual incident is really silly. I think they could have easily have saved that guy's life. Whereas the Fallen Kingdom opening scene, I think there's nothing they could do about a Mosasaurus jumping out and snatching a guy off a helicopter. Whereas, and then you've got the Lost World one with the Tina Bowman. That was not too bad. That's just one. That's a classic one. And then you've got the others. I hate the Now This thing. I love the Dominion prologue, but I don't think you can count that as an opening scene. And I like.
No, I'd say from the Rex charging into the movie theatre, definitely, but not the prologue start.
Yeah, I'd say that was pretty cool. But don't know whether it's as cool as the.
Wasn't as good as Fallen Kingdom.
Wasn't as good as Fallen Kingdom, no. So. And then you got the rest. I'd say this is up there in the top sort of 4, really, in terms of an opening. Whether you buy the whole Snickers crappy thing or not, if you take this, but the actual build up of the creature and the lab and the computers and like what they're doing, the character building at the start with the key situation and how, I don't know. I just think it's quite a good opening sequence and the transition of that logo. Absolutely love that.
So
yeah.
What year is that scene supposedly set?
2010.
Did we say 2010?
2010 if it's 2027 or 28. 2008 if it's 2025. It depends on what year it is meant to be now.
Yeah, that was my initial thought. But the thing that threw me was the computers in that lab because they seem far old. Like 80s, 90s, the genes.
That was my biggest query with that opening lab was that it felt, especially with the Snickers failsafe, that felt like something that would have happened in the 90s. The tech looks very 90s. The only thing that kind of like looked more too futuristic was the outfits they were all wearing. That looked like they were coming from Space 2001. But the tech, the lab technology, even the way they had everything in vats, that felt like a very 90s thing to do. And the failsafe system felt like this was a John Hammond, let's cut corners where we can to try and save some dough on the facility. But for it to be more of like this is Mizrahi's era of Jurassic World, that felt very out of place to me. But then also then comes the question of, well, if this place isn't in-gen modern day Mizrahi era, then how long has this facility been around? Because the tech to me says that it's been around for a lot earlier than 1993.
How
this
would
is one
you?
of the issues. Sorry, James. This is one of the issues I've got, because in the trailer we clearly hear Zora say this was the research facility for the original Jurassic Park. That piece of dialogue is not in the movie whatsoever. And now we know that what they were doing back in 2010 was clearly hybrids for Jurassic World. So this is why I think why I've got an issue with it, and I know other people's got an issue with it. They didn't know if they wanted it to be a research facility for Jurassic Park, or if it is just 2010 for Jurassic World and then onwards.
Yeah.
And it's not explained either way, really. And that's so
too
you're right
confusing
what
with
you're
the
saying. It's
timeline.
confusing. It's confusing because, like you said, the tech does look very 90s. The gear they're wearing looks very futuristic. It's like, where's that line? You know, it's just confusing, and I think that's why this movie was clearly rushed and not really thought out properly in a lot of ways.
I mean, they've done the right thing in choosing a Snickers, because the Snickers logo on the chocolate bar hasn't actually changed overly that much in design over the years. Because I was just looking at like Snickers wrappers from like the 90s
You
and 2000s.
geek.
Well, when was it? It used to be marathon, wasn't it?
No,
Hardcore fanage when you're looking at Snickers wrappers.
Yeah, mate, these little details could help with that. Expect a Cluedo here could like actually determine, because the new modern Snickers bars, I'll have you know, have got little peanuts on the top on the wrappers, whereas previously they don't. So
make sure you don't.
At least they didn't call it a marathon. That's the main thing.
Snickers.
Yeah. And I'm interested that that's. I mean, could this be a biosyn facility instead of InGen? Like, would it suit biosyn for you better than it being InGen, because it's all white and pristine and very biosyn looking?
I mean,
I don't know about that.
Yeah, but why not? Like,
this actually being a new.
What about this being InGen? Have you bought though?
Nothing.
Like, what about this being InGen though, Chris? Have you bought that makes you not buy it being biosyn? Like what? There's for me, it might as well have any logo.
It depends on when they're setting it. Like if they're setting it more towards that Jurassic World era thing, then it works. But I think linking it to InGen, trying to cement it more in the Jurassic Park era kind of thing, and I think that's probably why they went down the road of that.
For me, it kind of makes sense of it being biosyn, because if it's a lab full of genetic freaks, then they've nicked the DNA from what's it called, from InGen, and they're just trying to catch up. And all these genetic failures are because they've got a key ingredient missing, and these are all.
I mean, do you know what? Right, what you just explained there works. If they would have explained that in the movie like that, it would have worked.
Because it makes it make sense, because you think that, then it also backs up Nedry's catches up on 10 years of research, and they're almost, they're trying to catch up on research, but they haven't got a Henry Wu that's working for them, that's like the chief geneticist that can do all this stuff. So these are all the outcomes that all these creatures that they've nicked the DNA off of, they've not been able to do it properly, hence why they've all got two heads, they've got this, they've got them problems. And this is a biosyn abandoned facility, and they own the island, or Dodgson owns the island, and that's why to counteract this, I'd say arguably the biosyn creatures actually are better done than the InGen ones. They've got feathers, they've got, more realistic looking anatomies. Yeah. I actually think the biosyn creatures are probably done better than the InGen ones. However, yeah, I mean, this would make for me. It just would make sense. It's not a bother. It doesn't really bother me that it's in Gen. I think we've got to the point in the direction now that most people that go and see this film that aren't fans, right? That I mean, aren't hardcore fans like us, analysing Snickers bars and what year they came out. They won't care whether this is in Gen, Parker Genix, Bob and Jeff. They won't care who it is that has made these creatures because they won't care about the link in the past. Nothing else in this film links to the past other than the music cues and the fact that we recognise that Jurassic Park T-Rex and that dialogue.
Do you know what though? They don't learn the lessons because they're going on about, like, obviously it all got took down by a Snickers. Look at the state of Nedry's desk. That's an accident just waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Hey, Charles,
it's like Mike's desk behind me. There's not much difference.
You want to see the desk in front of me, mate? Ignore that lot back there.
Yeah. No. Right. Go back to some more positives.
Why we love the Rebirth movie?
Yeah. Right. I know. I want to get back to one of the things I loved about this film was, the adventure feel that it did actually have. Like, it starts off with the Mosasaurus scene, and you have like that Jaws type moment where they're on out there, they're out there looking for it. It almost reminded me of the bit in Jaws where they start sending out the buoy things out to try and lure him in and capture him.
There was even a nice Jaws reference in there as well at that particular point, wasn't there?
Oh, what was that again?
Where he's going on about when he was planning to go back to that other boat that had capsized with the family. And I think it was Duncan and what's his face? It was
this is my charter.
He was like, "This is my charter." He's like, "It's my boat." Blah blah blah. That was a direct quote from kind of Jaws. But it's Quentin Thingy, wasn't it, that said that? But that was a nice callback to. There was a few callbacks throughout the film, but that's one that I picked up. Yeah.
Ladies.
During that scene where they go back and collect the family from the capsized boat, I literally had to walk out of the cinema because I was laughing so much at the point where they're sat on the sort of upside down hull of the boat and they look off into and they spot obviously Zora and her crew's boat coming towards them, and they're waving and they set off a flare and the camera turns on and the boat is about 20 foot away. It's who else?
It's like Nelson, isn't it? I see those pictures. You're not seeing them from that close.
I think that was one of the scenes that probably should have been shot at night because it would make complete sense. But when it's broad daylight, you're in the middle of nowhere, nothing else is surrounding. It's like, I can't see.
Could you imagine
anything?
Could you imagine the terror of being on top of a floating boat upside down at night in the ocean?
It would have been hard to shoot. It would have been a good shot.
My God, I don't even like being on a small boat at night the right way up. Like, upside down, capsized in a Mosa infested waters. No, thank you. That would have added with a bit of rain. That's what this movie was missing. Rain.
Yeah. Oh, rain.
Not a single bloody drop, was there?
Storms or anything. Yeah.
And then we could have had that like a nice watered footprint on the beach of the Spinosaurus footprint. That was cool. But back to, I like the basics of this. I loved how it felt like it was a simplicity. Like we were with them on this journey, weren't we? Like we wanted to go on this adventure to get this DNA sample, and when they started, they got to get 10 meters closer, like spin it in, moving in the wheel, like you're cutting backwards and forwards to the people driving the boat, and then her on the gun. That whole sequence was like done so well. I mean, I think the Mosasaurus did comply quite nicely with it to help him out. However, it was the mechanics of that canister popping out and then the parachute. I loved that. I thought that's such a good idea.
Yeah, I like what they did with that.
And what a good way to get the DNA.
Yeah. Because I was wondering how they was going to retrieve it. I'm like, okay, they're not just going to stick a needle in the leg of this Titanosaur and just like give it a jab. It was more the quets I was wondering how they were going to do.
I'll tell you what that gun reminds me of. It reminds me of a Kenner weapon that you would have got with the action figures So you remember you had like the grappling hook, the rocket launcher. It reminded me of one of those sort of like gimmicks. It would not just shoot into the dinosaur, but then it would just eject off and then parachute down. Just it felt like a cannon toy.
Do you know what? That'd be a great toy, wouldn't it? Do you remember the old ones where you used to throw the soldier up in the air with the parachute?
Yes.
One of those with like a little canister on it, man, with a little like projectile gun, man. That'd be sick. I'd buy one of them now.
I'll bet your brother, and it pops off and shoots off with a little thingy.
I wonder if they could make it. Yeah, like you only have to have the mechanic, like a little.
It's just like a Nerf gun,
like the pop-up pirate.
Yeah.
I mean, you could stab it in, and then click the button. It goes, pops off, and then the little parachute comes off. That's a great little thing you could have as a toy.
Mate, I'm patenting that.
Patent that now.
Taking it on Dragon's Den. I'll make $1 million in a year. Do you know what I did actually like? I did actually like that they included just a quick shot of that red and blue compass. Like the red and blue compass was awesome.
Red and blue compass was good. The CGI in general, I thought, and the cinematography, it was an absolutely stunning film. It really shot like Thailand, the jungle. I know there was probably elements and layers of CG as well added in at certain points, but I mean, it was really, really well done. I liked the start with is it capuchin monkeys, and they had the helicopter come over the edge. I actually generally did think that this was the start of the mutant, and then the helicopter appeared. I was like, the whole like flying into the lab felt very Jurassic. That was quite cool. You know, they ticked a box straight away there with the whole helicopter coming in. They're not stupid in that respect. I just wished I wish there was two things I wish it didn't have was the date of the 17 years ago and current day thing, because the current day is always obviously relative to whatever day you watch the film. So in 10 years time, are we meant to, now you've aged it, what they should have done is given a date, an exact date, so whenever we watch the movie from that point onwards, we know that this movie's set back in 2025. Say just say it's 2035 now. What we know that this like we know that Jurassic Park is set in 1993 because on the board in the thingy room you've got all the slides saying 92, 93 projections. So we know that's when that was. We know when the Lost World was 97. Jurassic Park 3, we only know it's 2001 because the fact that that's when the movie came out. There's no evidence on screen there it's 2001. And then obviously Jurassic World, we then know it's 2015 because they speak about it. So, I mean, the lore is a little bit weird when it comes to that, but character-wise, I think there's more to see of Loomis. I think he could be the new Alan Grant of this new trilogy, and I think we're going to see some more adventures of Henry Loomis coming up.
You reckon?
Yeah, I do. I really do.
I'd like to.
He's an up-and-coming actor. He's not. I know he's not new. He's not young, but I mean, he's hit the big time now with this and with the Wicked film, and obviously he was in that English. What's it called? What's that old historical program?
Richardson.
That's it. He's been in that, so it's obviously very popular. He seems to be quite a good up-and-coming actor. I wouldn't be surprised if him and Scarlett are the ones to sort of continue this on as another trilogy. I don't know.
I wish we get Duncan back.
We might get to that. We might get him back. We might get
so.
The three of them might have to go on another mission somewhere, and they might be the new Alan Grant with Ellie and Malcolm sort of situation. I know it's not quite the same, but I think the way Henry Loomis was, he had almost that Malcolm wit, didn't he? There was a bit of dialogue in the swamp that they were talking about how, the Earth and how we're just the Earth will basically crap us off as soon as it can when we're ready, and they try to infuse a bit of the dialogue in the books. There
was one scene I particularly both loved and disliked in the same scene, and as much as I don't want to see a guy peeing, that scene, I both enjoyed it for the shadows of the JP3 Raptors and seeing them get attacked and stuff like that. But again, we said earlier on, we would have loved to have seen a little bit more of the JP3 Raptors, but I actually enjoyed that scene for what it was.
Well, I mean, I think it's meant to be that new Raptor, isn't it?
Yeah.
Jack, you were really positive about this film. Like when I spoke to you.
Listen, when I had pretty not low expectations, but do you know what I think the most important thing for me is? I didn't engage with anything. I think I watched the first trailer and then said that'll do me. Didn't try to read as little as possible, if anything at all. I didn't watch any of the film TV spots. I watched nothing. I went in specifically, having gone into the previous three, just consuming anything I could get my hands on. I went into this purposely trying to know nothing.
I did the same.
And as I think as a result, I came out of it having not had any expectations going in. And I think as a result, it served it better. Yeah, look, don't get me wrong, there are problems with it and there are things that I didn't like. But, I mean, look, I thought it was 10 times the film of Dominion. I came out of Dominion. I went and watched it on my own, came out, had a Nando's and went straight back in with my wife. And as we'd already bought the tickets, I didn't want to go back in. She had to drag me back in.
Wow.
Whereas this film, I would have turned around and gone and watched it again. Like I thought it was, like I said, I just thought it was a good film. There are problems with it, sure, but I remain positive about it. One of the things I loved was just the little bits of fan service, like Crichton Elementary School, things like that. I thought that's the sort of stuff that is, the heads will get it, people will understand it, but it's like just little bits of fan service. I thought it was good. And also, I could float in it.
Yeah, that's because you're top. It's a good sign actually. Segue that what you were just talking about there, Jack. Look, the nod of what some of the things I really loved about it. There was the Titanosaurus scene. It was very, very arcing back to the Jurassic Park first film with the same feel. Like we actually got to touch these animals now, and you could see like the little micro hairs on the legs. It really, I thought that CG looked excellent. Almost like it could have been a practical effect that, for all we know. I know there wasn't, but they could have put a stand-in leg, couldn't they, for him to just hold for that shot. Yeah. That's how good the CG looked on it. I like the Snickers bar as much as the opening scene was a bit weird. The reference, it could be a reference to the rapper that they discover at the High Hide in the Lost World novel.
Yeah, it was.
The raptors discover the rapper, and then they sniff up. They see that they're hiding up the top, and they climb up the thing. That could be a reference to that. The girl going over. What's her name? The girl, the older sister, woman.
Oh,
oh my God, what's her name? Luna.
Who?
Teresa, was it?
Teresa.
Is it?
Do you know what it is? Her real name's Luna.
Oh, okay. Teresa. She falls overboard. Well, she kind of gets left, doesn't she, and ignored. That same situation is the one in the Lost World novel. Dodgson pushes Sarah Harding over the boat into the swirls, and then she ends up surviving it. And that's a really intense scene in the book. And she survives it, and she falls into one of those little cave type things where she ends up falling asleep and drifting onto the beach just right at the last minute, and she survives it. But obviously this is done slightly different, but exactly how that was pictured in the film is how I pictured it in the book. Like that whole falling over the edge, the arsehole sort of like persona that he had, like he knew what he was doing there. And then when they go into the cave bit where the family meets, like that whole, how it looks, exactly how I pictured in my head in the book. I really love that nod. It was a subtle one that I don't know a lot of people would have noticed. They might have done. If you have noticed that, then great. If you haven't, then let me know, because that was a good one. Because I was really pleased that I saw that. Raptors in the kitchen, we get kind of like that sort of same sort of thing in the garage. I think it is in the garage shop. It's not quite as good because obviously it's not raptors. I mean, I wished it was. I don't know why we didn't get a two-headed raptor. I'd rather have seen a two-headed raptor, actually. I think a two-headed raptor would have been pretty cool.
I think that's what we said when we analysed the trailer. We was hoping it was that, didn't we?
Yeah. Because in the trailer, the dialogue in the trailer, he says raptors, doesn't he?
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff in the trailers, dialogue-wise especially, that they even make the final cut for some reason.
I'd love to know what this cut was.
But one of the big disappointments for me, do you remember the first trailer with the Rex like roaring and yawning on its front? That was completely disregarded, and I don't understand why, because that was such a beautiful shot in the trailer. I don't
It's a
understand
beautiful
why they
shot.
decided against it.
It's a cool shot, but I mean, I don't know whether it would make any impact on the scene though.
I've not mentioned this so far, and I'm surprised that I haven't. But we've spoke about this a good little bit, and it's one bit that kind of not irritated me, but I wondered why they did it, and I wanted to get everyone's opinions on it. The Rex swimming.
Loved it.
You loved it.
I loved it. Absolutely.
I enjoyed it, but what got me is when it's swimming with its head submerged. I don't know whether you think of lizards and stuff like that, or even birds. Most of them don't swim with the head just underneath the surface. It was a little bit weird for me. That's the only thing that I think took me out of the film at all in the full film.
I mean, you could argue. Go on.
I was going to say the only reptile that I know of that actually swims with its head underwater is crocodile, and that's what I'm kind of wondering whether that's what they were going for, because it even kind of does that crocodile-esque formation as it's swimming.
It's a hybrid, technically, so you can get away with anything.
I mean, I wish they'd have done a shot from underneath the water of it swimming.
Mm-hmm. That would have been cool.
Because there's an argument to say, was it even swimming? It could have been walking.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It could have been walking on the bottom. It's just you've seen that kind of sneaky.
The reason I haven't got any issues with this scene is purely because in the novel it swims after the raft and walks after the raft and goes under the water.
Yeah.
And everything we see in this exact scene we see in the book. So that's probably the only reason why I've got no issues with it whatsoever. I've got more issues with the raft not popping when the T-Rex bites.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say.
Matt's gonna go. I'll let you have a talk about it.
That's the only thing. That's the only thing that took me, because that scene was so intense. That's arguably the best sequence in the entire movie for me.
Yeah.
And when I seen it for the first time, like he picked up his jaw, shook it, and bit into it. When he bit into it, and it didn't go bang, I was like, yeah, that's the only thing that was so stupid about it. But other than that, it was fantastic.
You need to make condoms out of that, don't they?
Yes.
There's one podcast that I've listened to that discussed something about that scene that actually kind of makes a bit more sense. But even though I agree with everyone, like that thing should have been like as soon as it chopped around it.
That's gone.
But it cost gone. The Paleo podcast that I've listened to, they were discussing about the idea that because the Rex is already eaten, because we've seen the parasaur carcass on the beach, it wasn't necessarily intending on hunting the family and popping the boat. It was more playing with them. So it was kind of like, some small things that I can mess around with. So it was just deliberately just antagonizing them, just making their lives hell just for the pure fact of they can't do anything to me, so I'll just make hell for them.
It's like a cat playing with a mouse, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah, that's it. It's a cat playing with a mouse scenario. So it's just
naturalistic behaviour.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, that kind of makes sense, but that still doesn't, to me, if you're going to put your teeth around some a raft, it's going to burst it. I mean, if you're crying out, it put its teeth around some tyres in Jurassic Park, and that popped, and I'm sure that wasn't exactly a gentle kiss either.
Do you know what, right? They're like, do you know what I would have liked to have seen? And I don't know whether this is just me thinking too much into it and thinking, do you know what, that would have been sick, and we've seen it before, and it's maybe rehashing stuff, is a second Rex. I think a second Rex surprising.
I actually thought we were going to get one.
Yeah, if you think that full river raft scene, and then at the end of it, when it can't quite get it through the rock, and another one kind of comes out from the side that's kind of been tracking down the river or something, would have been cool. But yeah, just wishful thinking, I think.
Yeah,
I think that river raft scene was 10 out of 10.
Yeah, epic.
Actually 9.5 out of 10 because of the raft not popping. I think that would have been good for dramatic effect of it popping as well in its mouth to make it think that the T-Rex had killed the girl. A bit like how I think it did pop in the novel, and then they all thought Lex had died, and then she popped up out of the water, out of the lagoon. Definitely would have been cool having another T-Rex the other side of that bank.
A quick thing about that scene. You know, the little dinosaur, is it Dolores? It's called or something like that.
Dolores, yeah.
Was
Yeah.
that in her backpack while the
Yeah.
Rex was biting the raft? I'm trying to
No,
remember.
That's
it's
another
not.
issue I've got with it.
It
Because
just turns up later on.
when they came down the hill towards the river, Dolores sort of sniffed the air, then ran away because she could smell dead carcass. Dead carcass means
Yeah,
not
yeah,
predator.
yeah.
And then she came back as the T-Rex was emerging, sort of thing. It's like,
Yeah.
again, it's so stupid. Like, if you want it to run away because it's scared, keep it run away.
Yeah.
Don't have it
I mean,
come
that-
back just as the T-Rex emerges, because it's like it defeats the whole object of what he tried to show.
That's
sort
in
of
there
thing.
to sell toys
Yeah.
on it. You know,
It-
it's
exactly
kids.
what I
just
said to
goes
Mr.
to show.
Joe.
It just goes to show how addictive those licorice laces were. That's all it says to me.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've not even discussed Dolores yet.
Good.
I mean, Dolores versus Bumpy. Which
No
one would you
contest.
pick? If you had
Bumper.
to? Which one
Dolores
would you have?
hands down.
Bumper.
Dolores hands down.
I mean, they're literally, it's a dinosaur baby Yoda, isn't it? It's there just to sell toys
Yeah.
to kids.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
Yeah, but when Bumpy
Exactly.
gets older, I can ride it.
yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah,
could,
but when
I
you don't
could
want
see,
Bumpy in the area, you can't just push her out the door either.
I could definitely see Dolores being a more suitable pet. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yep.
I mean, the Dolores thing, we know what that was about.
Yeah.
We know what that's about. As soon as we saw it, we knew instantly what that was about.
You've seen it in the backpack.
Yeah. Did I have any problems? I mean, is it plausible for that thing to track you all down the whole night? I mean, yeah, probably not without seeing it again though. I mean, we could have done with a scene where Dolores
Did you see
came
it?
back before the end of that scene, and maybe she scares and runs off again, and then we see her again at the end.
Or if,
I mean,
if we've seen her across the river, like running through the jungle, bush or whatever, you know. Again,
Yeah,
I don't
I mean-
know if we're asking too much of a little thing, but
Do you know one
Yeah.
of the things that wound me up a little bit just before the scene where he goes for a wee is when they're the little girl, I've forgotten her name, is feeding Dolores for the first time. Gives her a little bit of whatever it is. It's the licorice, isn't it, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Licorice, yeah,
Isabella.
that's right. Yeah.
Gives her a bit of the licorice, and then sort of backs away. Gives her a bit more, and immediately she jumps in for a cuddle and sleeps next to them. That to me felt like we're talking about these are wild animals, have probably never seen human beings, never interacted with human beings. That's not going to name me another animal that's ever existed that you give it one little bit of food and it's your best friend. It just doesn't it doesn't work like that, especially a wild animal. So I felt
It's
a
very
little
much the Disney complex, isn't it? Of you just give that animal that magic treat, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're my friend forever, sort of scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it is what it is. I mean, it's not. It doesn't necessarily. In fact, I wish she impacted the story a bit more. I know you don't, but I kind of wish she had a bit more of a purpose. Actually, I wish she was a bit more of an alarm system for them all. So, you
Maybe-
kind of knew that danger was around, almost like like bloody Frodo's thing glowing blue when he knew the orcs were around. You kind of that instantly added tension. Like her being uncomfortable is almost like having your dog barking out in the garden. You know there's something around.
Yeah.
Where,
Yeah. What if she was like cocaine in the licorice and it was just fiending and just tracking him down for its next hit?
I told you, licorice is addictive. I'll tell you what, actually, I think they should have been better for having Dolores been there in the first place, is if she was being attacked by a pack of compies. They saved Dolores from the compies. She's injured. There's a reason to keep her in the pack. There's a reason then to have an alarm sounding every time a bigger predator comes about. And then when she's able to actually get out the backpack and leg it off later on, then they've got a reason to either chase after the girl because, oh, Dolores is gone, or that they reacquainted later on down in the story. That would have been a better synopsis.
yeah, I do think that the Dolores thing is it's an odd one because there's the thing is with all of these films, all these little things they could always do a little bit more with, couldn't they? Like, someone's always not going to be happy somewhere. Like Matt probably could change the whole movie. There's little things that I would change, but not a lot. I mean, there's like here's one of the things that I thought about that would be pretty cool, and it's only just to show a choreographed scene a little bit differently. Now, you know when that girl goes and gets the raft out of the shed.
Yeah.
Well, what I thought would have been quite a cool thing here is that everything plays out exactly the same way, right? Up until that point. And then we discover the Dilophosaurus. So the Dilophosaurus is eating. The Dilophosaurus still hasn't noticed her yet at this point. It's just the view from the Dilo, from behind the carcass, looking at the girl going across the raft. But it's still eating, right? And it cuts to the girl going into the shed, getting the raft out, and then pulling it onto the decking. Now at this point, the Rex is still doing the moving about, and she's like freezing. Then the Dilo notices her, looks up, jumps over the carcass, and does exactly what it does in the film with a thing, right? At this point, the Rex is still asleep. It spits at her. She ducks out of the way, and the spit then whacks the T-Rex, that's when it wakes up.
Mm-hmm.
She pops the raft, panicking, gets it into the water. The T-Rex then stumbles to its feet, and that's when we see everything happen. I know in the film it works out differently because the T-Rex goes for a drink, and that's when it notices her. But in this case, we could have done like the Dilo ends up waking the Rex up, pissing it off technically, and then her thinking, crap. The Dilo then sees the Rex and Scarpers, and she's now like stood there with this raft like, crap. What do we do?
Yeah.
And that's when the ball gets rolling. I just thought that would have been a cool way of, I guess, showing the Dilo still being aggressive and being, you know, and almost like just a quirky little scene that would have been quite fun.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be in it. It doesn't need to be in it. Like what we saw was perfect already. It's just something I thought would have been quite good to show the Dilo spit.
Yeah, because to me, on the back of what you just said there, James, had the Rex approached the carcass, chasing the Dilo off, it's then occupied by eating the carcass. The girl in the commotion can then still get the raft off the decking into the water. If the river's actually going away from the Rex, they can get that part going. The Rex turns and then sees him, and that's when it pursues it, thinking again it's another Dilo situation where you've got something approaching its meal that he wants to protect.
You could even play on the whole visions based on movement thing.
Exactly.
Like she could just literally freeze still, and that thing not see her. But obviously they don't know that their vision's based on movement. She could just be frozen still, like, and then notice it doesn't see her. Notice that it's then, like you said, occupied by the Dilo. Goes over to the Dilo to get rid of it, and that's when she starts going. They're like this, come on, and then she pulls it away, and that's when it attracts the Rex, and by that point, then it starts the chase scene. I mean, all of this would have been good. I'm not even complaining about that scene anyway because it's so.
No, it's still a solid scene. It's just
something else. It'd have been a bit
tweaks could help. Yeah,
it could have helped it even better. I want to talk about before because I do want to wrap this up at some point. It's here 10 to 10 already. The Quetzal scene, the deaths, all the deaths of the guys in this film. I really liked the Spinosaurus one. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I didn't like the fact that he held on for about 10 seconds before he got dragged away. I think that was a bit stupid. Where he's just like,
yeah. Spino's been taking Velociraptor lessons in how to acquire your prey.
Yeah, and I mean, I just think it was just like, I mean, what was the Spinosaurus? Like, I like to view things from the other perspective, and so you've got the guys like hanging on, and what's the Spinosaurus just like sort of sat there like
it's just like waving in the wind,
and rips him away, and then he can go.
Here's my problem with that scene, right? You know when Jonathan Bailey's character is hanging over the ledge, he's going from side to side, and it's wearing the rope. Sure, like I get it. You need that tension, you need that drama. Surely climbing rope is designed to withstand friction.
Vibration.
Surely it's not 1812. Surely, it's reinforced with carbon fibre.
It's designed to support like 2 tons of weight, I think.
Yeah, and if so,
If
over
they're
that
using
little
proper
ledge
climbing rope.
there, surely that same friction would be happening at the top of the
Oh.
edge of the cliff. That same, physics would be applied up there. So that's one thing I didn't particularly get. And also, perhaps I missed this bit, but there was no explanation behind those sort of Mayan ruins. Maybe there was, and I missed it. But there was no,
there wasn't any.
even just a passing comment. It could have been.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we would get some, but we didn't.
There's apparently there's an alternative opening to the film, and the other alternative opening was that there was going to be Mayans or like indigenous people in the jungles, and they were seeing InGen moving in for the first time to start building up the laboratories and stuff like that.
Why was that not kept in?
And that's honestly that I think that might be on the DVD or the Blu-ray. But that was apparently the other alternative ending that they chose not to go with for some reason. But that would have explained the Mayan buildings, because you're absolutely right on what you're saying.
There's also an alternate ending, isn't there?
It's a great nod to the Trespasser video game.
Yeah.
But in terms of, like you say, it just happens to be there. It just doesn't
If it
make
was either a
sense.
sauna, I mean, like, it would have been a great little touch. I'd love that if it was either a sauna.
Yeah.
The one thing that pisses me off about all these films, actually, this is nothing to do with Rebirth. This is just generically like Jurassic, full stop. Is the fact that we've had five movies since The Lost World. 5.
Mm-hmm.
And we still haven't got the 5 deaths.
Yeah. Well, they wanted to get away from the islands, didn't they? And to be honest, I think that's what the franchise
needed.
needed.
To another island.
By going to another island.
But this is the thing, like, how David Koepp did not manage to come up with a single idea to follow on from Dominion, Dinosaurs in Our World. I don't understand it. Like, if you want to go back to an island, fine. That's why I think making it a prequel to Jurassic World would suit the film better. But they sort of pigeonholed themselves into a corner now where, okay, dinosaurs on the mainland are all but dead, so we have to go back to an island. And how are you going to give people what excuses to go back to an island for the dinosaurs? That's the problem they've created.
I didn't take that dialogue as specifically an island, because they just said, don't they just say equatorial regions?
No, he said islands around the equator. There's 2 pieces of dialogue.
I think they can get away with that, because surely it's just the environment that, like the equatorial environment, rather than islands. Because you've got the Amazon, you've got Costa Rica, you've got obviously all the chain of the 5 deaths. That's all on the equator. Some parts of Thailand or parts of Asia all goes through the equator. So there's more than just this than these islands. Like, we can go, like, we've got a whole circumference of the Earth to go over.
Exactly.
Do you know what? Even when they were saying this in the film, I don't have a massive problem with the dinosaurs dying out across the world. To be honest, I think what makes some of the best elements of this franchise is when it's, your typical monster in a house movie. It's you are on a secluded place, just you and these dinosaurs, and when it's out in the open and I don't buy into that. I don't think that has as much jeopardy as it does when you're in a isolated location. So like you're saying, if it's, it'd be great if we got a film about raptors in the Amazon, and a hiking company goes off and gets trapped, and then there's, granted the Amazon's a big place, but the fact that it's in a forest and a rainforest makes it seem more isolated. That's why I'd love them to take it. That fits into that kind of equatorial geography that they're talking about. But the fact that we are going back to islands, for me, I didn't see it necessarily as a bad thing at all, to be honest. I found it refreshing, even though it's been done before, if that makes sense.
It felt like Jurassic Park 3 and Kong Skull Island all mixed in a blender, really, to be fair. Like, I really like that part of Jurassic Park 3, that it was just, there was no other element to it other than just getting this kid and getting out. Like, with The Lost World, you had, like, all these other elements to it. Obviously, you had the main story of them all going to the island to retrieve Sarah, and then that's when they discover that InGen are going in there and, taking the animals out, and then there was that whole situation, and so it changed quite a fair bit. But the simplicity of the story in Jurassic Park 3 enabled you to just go on the adventure with them and not have to think about anything else other than what's next. Whereas this kind of thing was like we had that mission of what's next. Okay, we've done the Titanosaur, brilliant. We've done the Mosasaurus, brilliant. That whole sequence, both honestly, like, I can't fault either of them two sequences. I thought they were really, really well done. I mean, is there any argument with the fact that this island can sustain that many Titanosaurus eating and breeding? No, definitely not. But like, I don't think the average fan will even think about that. Not average fan, that's the wrong thing to say. Fans probably would. Average moviegoer would.
Average moviegoer,
yeah, would not think about that or care about that.
Do you know what? Just picking up on that point, at the average moviegoer, the people that I've spoke to who aren't, JP nuts like us lot, they've the thing that they've all fed back is this feels like more like the original three. I really enjoyed it. It didn't feel like the last three that we've just got. They felt that it's been easier to follow, and it's just like a fun summer blockbuster that they can relate the original three to. And I think that is, a lot of the times we can get caught up in lore and, okay, well, what does this mean for this guy that, 30 years? Yeah. We get all of that. But actually, I think for the general audience, it's a shift in these cheesy blockbusters that we got for the last three versus it's more grounded in that original trilogy, which I think is a great thing.
Yeah, I mean, look, we'll grow and love to these characters over time. Like, I think, like, if they do plan on making another trilogy, think of how we actually felt about Owen and Claire on the first viewing of Jurassic World. We didn't even know them really. Like, we knew Chris Pratt because of the TV show he worked on, and Bryce Dallas Howard. I don't think anyone could even remember from being in Spider-Man 3 as Gwen Stacy, or she might have been. She was in that Twilight as well. Like, there wasn't anything major that she was been in. Like, I would class as like a groundbreaking movie of the summer or the winter. Do you know what I mean? So
the only film that I knew her from that I would have classed as groundbreaking was The Village. She was the blind girl in the M. Night Shyamalan film where it turns out they're all in a
she was,
area. That's the only film that I could say that's a different film to anything else that's been out there.
I'd only ever seen Chris Pratt as actually, I'll tell you what I'd seen him in. He was in that.
He was
the husband in one of those, in that chick flick movie with Kate Hudson and what was that called? Where Bride Wars.
Oh, right.
He played the other half, and he was a bit of a dick in it. And I was just like, I recognise him. Oh, he's from, obviously, the build up, and then obviously
I knew him from.
And then obviously he was Star-Lord as well, which obviously was probably more popular than, I don't even know if Guardians was than Jurassic World, to be fair, but either way, I'm saying is that we grew to love their characters, and we grew to like and appreciate who they were and their story arcs over the films. So we've had a decade of Claire and Owen. We've had 2 weeks of Zora and Duncan. So I think over time we will grow to like their characters, especially if they do produce more movies. Just say in 2-3 years' time they decide to write a sequel to this, and it's these 3 characters again. I mean, I like this movie enough to wonder. I want to know more about them. I'm happy to cut. Like, some people might come away, especially the harsher critics, might say, "I don't give a shit about him. I don't want to see him again." Like, I'm glad this is. I think I've had it with the Jurassics now. They're kind of going a bit too bat crazy. Whereas I think they've done enough for me to warrant, wanting to know a bit more about them and who they are and where this story is going to go now. I still didn't get round to talking about the death scenes. So I'm going to go back to that. Sorry, guys. I want to go talk about the Quetzalcoatlus death. That was really cool. The guy climbing up the cliff, and we was talking about the crunch of the beak, weren't we? And he was like, Harry was wedged in the biggest pressure point of the beak, where he probably had been crunched, and then he was swallowed into the throat gullet thing. It was pretty cool. I loved it. It was so it weren't graphic in the sense of blood, but it was graphic in the sense of your imagination.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I always wondered.
That's probably one of my top 10 death scenes in the whole franchise. Absolutely, hands down.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I think all the deaths were really good, to be fair.
Yeah, I wish they didn't go as PG on that other woman's one though, the Spino, the one that sleeps and gets up.
Yeah,
that was a very clever shot. That was actually.
I think that was the best. That was maybe my favourite scene in the whole film.
Yeah,
That wonder. There was a lady sat next to me in the cinema, and when it's on the right hand side of the screen, isn't it? When the Spino just sort of wakes up or whatever, and she went, "Oh my god!" like proper screaming, and it was brilliant. And it's how it's so rare in the whole franchise, really, where someone's going to die and they don't. It's only the only other one I can think of is, I'm sure there's others, but the only one that my brain's coming to is when, and even this is a push, but when the what is it? When the guy's hidden in front of the car. Oh my god, my brain's not working. But yeah, I just thought that was a really well done scene. I thought it was brilliant, to be honest.
Kris, that's my next thumbnail. I think that whole scene was done so well. Like I love the new Spinos, Jack, as well. Like
yes,
I do like the Jurassic Park 3 Spino. The only problem I have with the Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus is the fact that it's the way that it killed the T-Rex, not without having the thumbs to be even able to do that. Like, it wasn't even necessarily the fact that it did kill the T-Rex. It was more the fact of how it killed it, and I just thought it made the T-Rex, like the fact that the T-Rex was kind of like almost like winning that fight, and then it did that little thing, and it kind of was like, oh. But then at the time when I watched the movie for the first time, I was 15, 16, something like that. It didn't bother me. I actually come away from Jurassic Park 3 really happy. I liked it. I thought it was quite a fun, quick film, and so it didn't really bother me at the time. It was only over time that I was like, oh, I wish they'd have killed it, like, and have done that. And especially when I thought that was the last time we saw it as well. We didn't know anything else coming after. So I don't know. I kind of I think these new Spinos were great. I really like their design. I like their behaviour. The only thing I thought was a bit dumb was the behaviour with the Moser.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I would have preferred it if the Mosasaurus made them go inland to the shallows, and that's where the Spinosaurus territory was. And it was almost, okay, this is a new threat, not one that's coincide. Because when you go back to the Mosasaurus, it killed the Indominus.
Yeah.
It basically ate everything in the ecosystem. That's why it's becoming a problem. And now all of a sudden it's not eating these dinosaurs. It's hunting alongside them. It kind of didn't like that. That didn't work for me.
Yeah.
Well,
it is what it is. It doesn't bother me and take me out of the film. I just thought, that it was a wasted opportunity. I think they could have used the Moser to draw them inland, and then all of a sudden, oh crap, there's now a new threat. This is Spinosaurus territory in the shallows. They hunt here because all the fish congregate there because of the coral reef, etc. I don't know, but they make up another reason. And these things now are hunting the boat in the shallow areas. They can't go back out the sea because the Mosasaurus is there. They got nowhere to bloody go. Now this is when they end up crashing on the island. That's the type of thing that I would have done with it. It would have made more sense for me, that. But what we got, I really loved. I thought from the start to finish, it was pure action and really, really well choreographed. And the CGI was superb as well.
Spot on.
Absolutely.
So where do you think we go next?
Good question. I think, that's a good one to let's finish up with that, actually. Anyway, thanks for watching the show, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you are new, hope you consider subscribing for more content. And obviously, we're going to do some more stuff coming out based on Rebirth. So check that out. Click the notification bell, and then you won't miss any of our videos. Until next time, only one thing left to say, boys. Life will find a way. Bye-bye.